All right, so little by little, we are layering back in those steps from MSM2 into our multi-step equations, Unit 4, Lesson 10. What happens when we layer in the distributive property? All four of the following statements are true. If we have a number outside of the parentheses, we can multiply it by a pair that are being added or subtracted in order to distribute the A. We can also do the reverse. If we notice that they have something in common, we can sort of undistribute the A. But again, it has to be over addition or subtraction. So first of all, how do we use the distributive property to rewrite each expression without parentheses? Remember, we multiply the number on the outside by both of the terms on the inside. So 5 times 2x would be 10x. 5 times the minus 3 would be minus 15. You cannot forget that the fact that there is subtraction inside does carry into the answer. So here, if we're going to distribute the negative 2, both of the terms inside are getting multiplied by a negative. So negative 2 times 5, negative 10. Negative 2 times x would be plus a negative 2x. Now, you'll never see a final answer written that way. You will always see the term with the variable listed first, and then instead of plus a negative 10x, we would write subtract 10. Means the same thing, but it's all about keeping it as clean and efficient as possible. Last, if we distribute the 7, which is positive, 7 times 8m would be 56m, minus the 7 times the 1 is 7. When there is a 1 at the end, I cannot tell you the number of times people forget to multiply the 7 on the outside. So please do use those little arrows over the top, even if they seem silly. How about using the distributive property to rewrite each expression so that it gets the parentheses back? A lot of times we call it like undistributing. So 2x and 4, what do they have in common? Their greatest common factor is 2, meaning both of those terms can be divided by 2. So if I did 2x divided by 2, all I would have left is the x. 2 divided by 2 would be 1. Plus, and 4 divided by 2 would be 2. Don't forget you can check your answer. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 4. Here, the greatest common factor for 12x and 18xy, 12 and 18 are both divisible by 6. They both have an x in common, but they do not both have a y. So if I divide both of them by 6x, whatever is left over would stay in the parentheses. 12 divided by 6 is 2. X divided by x cancels. Plus, 18 divided by 6 is 3. X divided by x cancels, and you still have the y. Now, I will mention that you will most of the time see the 3y plus 2. Again, so the term with the variable gets listed first, even when it's in parentheses. Last, these have no coefficients, but their greatest common factor is whatever letters they share in common. They both have an x. So the x would be what you divide by, it goes out in front. I still have a yz left, and on the second term, I still have a w remaining. Sometimes you'll need to use a distributive property to solve equations. Hector earns the same amount babysitting each week. Each week, he saves all but $10 of his earnings. After 8 weeks, he's saved $160. So define your variable. I'm going to use E to stand for his earnings and write an equation to model the situation. So he saves all but $10. So I would say his earnings minus $10. This is how much he is saving. And then he's going to do that for 8 weeks. So times 8. And that equals his overall savings of $160. So this is his savings each week. Whatever he earns, take away $10, which he spends frivolously on candy, let's say. And then he does it 8 times, saves up to $160. I'm going to distribute that 8. 8e minus 80 equals 160. I can add 80 to both sides. 8e equals 240. Divide both sides by 8, and we would learn that he is earning $30. So we could say Hector was earning $30 each week. Again, it was a word problem, so our answer has to have words. You can't just stop here at E equals 30 and be done. Solve the following equations algebraically. Can do. So what I'm going to do is use the distributive property first. 4 times x minus 4 times 1 equals the 12. The 4 only gets distributed on its side of the equal sign because you are simplifying the left side. And now I have a two-step equation. 4x equals 16. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 4. And that would be done. Not a word problem, so you can stop there. Now, you have another choice. Your other choice is to say, this is -4 times whatever's in the parentheses. I'm going to divide both sides by -4 because I noticed that it was a -4 times everything in the parentheses. So I'm going to use the inverse of division. -4 divided by -4 cancels, and you'd have 2 minus x equals 6 divided by -4, or -3/2. This isn't a good one to use this strategy on because it ends up kind of messy. I'm going to have to add 2 to both sides. I need to know how to add that with the mixed number or the improper fraction. Just so you know, that first step is an option. However, in this case, not a good option. If I distribute the -4 times 2, -8, -4 times minus x would be plus 4x. The negative on the outside times the subtraction on the inside brings it back to a positive. I would add 8 to both sides. 4x equals 14. Divide both sides by 4. And this is 14 over 4, or 7 over 2, why it was not a friendly, good example for using that strategy. Last but not least, I'm going to distribute the 3 on the left, and you'll notice I'm going to have variables on both sides. So 6x minus 3 equals x plus 13. I'm going to bring this x minus x on the right minus x on the left. Bring all of my x's from the right side to the left side, and that means I now have a two-step equation. Add 3 to the right and the left. I'm going to have 5x equals 16. Divide both sides by 5. I can't even put this in lowest terms. It's just 16/5. Not pretty, but we've done everything mathematically legal. All right. If we look at the back, there are 3 more problems there. And we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing on the front. Again, this is, simplifying before we start solving. Get rid of that distributive property, get rid of those parentheses by multiplying both of the numbers inside by -2. -6 plus 2x, the minus times the minus becomes plus. I want to bring all of my x's from one side to the other. So instead of plus 2x on the left, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. -6 equals x plus 1. This is great. Again, it stayed positive. Subtract 1 from both sides. -7 equals x. And you would not see somebody leave the variable on the right side. We would rewrite it as x equals -7. This one is a little bit trickier when we are distributing the -4. Again, we have to notice that it's a -4 getting distributed because it was -4. So the 10 is going to hang out here and wait for a second. -4 times x is -4x. -4 times 3 is -12. And I haven't used the equals 14 because it's on the other side of the equation, other side of the equal sign. I have a 10 and I have a -12. And I have to combine them. Again, I'm still simplifying the left side. 10 take away 12 is the same as -2 or -2. Now that I've finished simplifying, I have a two-step equation. I'm going to add 2 on the left, add 2 on the right. -4x equals 16. Divide both sides by -4. X equals -4. The signs were different, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. Just so we don't, I don't know if forget's the right word, but I'm going to do the same type of problem again where I'm distributing a negative. In this case, it's a -2 multiplied by both of the pieces inside the parentheses. 6 minus 6x, a -2 times a -5 would become +10. Simplifying the left side, still over here, 6 plus 10, -6x plus 16 equals -2. I have finished simplifying the left side. Subtract 16 from both. -16 with a -2 is -18. This is multiplication, so I'm going to use division. Divide both sides by -6. X equals 3. So every one of these problems is a little different, but it comes down to the same steps. 1, you need to simplify an individual side. 2, that might involve the distributive property. Make sure that you have all of your variables together. If you have variables on both sides, like this one, you have to get your variables onto one side before you can solve it like a traditional two-step equation.